سلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. The beauty of Arabic language is that it uses many different words to describe different angles of the same thing. And this language is almost unique in that perspective. Other languages are similar, but it's just the way that nuances of things are captured within Arabic is almost unparalleled. And so today we kept on hearing in Taraweeh, Innahu awwab, Innahu awwab, Innahu awwab. And so one wonders that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about various Anbiya and Rusul alayhi salatu wa salam, what does it mean that they are awwab? Now, before we get to that, there are three words, again, that have similar meanings, but various depths of meanings. So, for example, the first word that we have heard in the Quran is tawbah. Tubu ilallahi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives order that you must do tawbah. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu tubu ilallahi tawbatun nasuha. And so in Urdu, tawbah, will generally translate to maafi manglena, istighfar. But really, the word coming from the root word of taba basically means to return back. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the mu'mineen, people of Iman, to turn back to Him, to return back to Him. And, people make wrong turns when they're driving. And so what do? We try to correct our direction. We try to get back on the right path to our destination. People might be walking and they might fall down. So what do? We try to get back up. So it's just returning back to this original state. The second word that we have again heard before in the Quran is awwab. Anab. Wattabi alayha, wattabi sabila man anaba ilayha. Anab. Which also means to be mutawajjih hona, to be focused and to concentrate and to have tawajjuh towards something. And this also has this turning back to something, because if somebody speaks, I become mutawajjih, I turn to that person. Okay? So my tawajjuh turns to that person. My focus, my concentration. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they do ittiba of the sabil, of the way of those people who have this anaba ilayya, that who are focused or who turn to us. And today we kept on hearing innahu awwab, and awwab is also returning back, turning back. What in Urdu and Arabic you will say raja'a, ruju ilallah. Ruju ilallah, to do ruju ilallah. Again, very similar meaning. So one way to understand this, that when a person does tawbah is turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? With istighfar, that you have this feeling of remorse and you do istighfar on that. But you can say that generally it starts with a very intellectual kind of returning back, right? That I've done something wrong, I need to. So that's usually what awamun nas are, their attention is brought to that you must do tawbah. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, very general kind of, that you must do tawbah. Tawbatun nasuh, sachi pakki tawbah. And when we talk about inaba, this is a higher level that, once a person has, then tawbah, your qalb also becomes involved. Qalbi munib. The terminology of the Quran is abde munib and qalbi munib. A heart that inclines, focuses, turns to Allah Ta'ala, and the abd himself turns to Allah. Now, of course, you can't really turn in it. It means that overall your aqwal, your amal, your afal, all of that is, inclining towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's khushnudi. So that is the second daraja of returning. And what we heard today, which is, almost exclusively used for the Anbiya Karam, and which doesn't mean that regular people can't become, cannot experience that, but really it is for them. It's like awwab, innahu awwab. That is like a complete, like ruju ilallah. Allah hi ki taraf complete mud jana. Right? That's what we call a U-turn. Right? It's like a complete turning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Body and soul. There's not just intellect, it's not just the heart, it's just your ruh, your jism, your everything, your whole existence, your wujud, does ruju ilallah. Har cheez. Allah Ta'ala becomes the mahbar. Allah Ta'ala becomes the pivot. Allah Ta'ala becomes the nucleus around which your whole world revolves. So for us, it's a journey. And, this is one way to define tasawwuf. It is a journey from tawbah to become an abd munib, to inshallah ta'ala one day have this kamil ruju ilallah, which in a very kamil mukammal sense it only belongs to Anbiya Kiram, but people can get a taste of that, right? Is to also become people who experience this awwab as well. Okay, complete turning to Allah Ta'ala. Okay? And what shaitan does is usually he will, have you seen that sometimes when people are walking, what do they call that? Langri dina, people will put their leg and so a person will fall down, trip, right? So they will trip a person. Shaitan trips a person in the first step, in tawbah. Forget being abd munib, forget awab and inaba and all of that. The tawbah is never, it's not true enough a lot of times. It's not the tawbah to nusuh that Allah Ta'ala demands. It's not like we're not doing istighfar. But do we really mean it? Do we really mean it? Even when we're doing tawbah, let's say a person takes a bite, I'm going to leave these 5 sins, but this one, I'm just going to hang on to this one. You can't do that. It really has to be like a tawbah to nusuh. And so the tripping, the langri, right, it usually comes in the first step of tawbah. And that's why we never get to the second and third step of the suluk, if you want to call it that. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, encourages us that don't let shaitan put us in despair. Even, let's say, as our Shaykh will say, कि तौबा टूट जाए, तौबा का टूट जाना तौबा के छूट जाने से बेहतर. But if your tawbah breaks, it's better than leaving tawbah altogether. So he will make you despair, hopeless. Cholo kya karna? I've tried this, been there, done that. It's just I can't change. There's no hope for me. It's the same kind of hopelessness. Shaitan brings hopelessness. Shaitan is an embodiment of despair and hopelessness. And Allah Ta'ala brings umeed and hope. Right? And so, another ayah that Hafiz read today, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Subhanallah, one of the most beautiful ayahs of the Quran. O Nabi, tell my ibad, tell my servants, huh? Tell my slaves, my servants, الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ, those that may have transgressed against their own souls. We all do that. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, and it doesn't affect Allah Ta'ala. Right? It may not even affect others. We're just really destroying ourselves. That's transgression against our own self. Okay, so if you have done it, what do? Allah Ta'ala says, brings so much hope, for that first step of tawbah. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Don't lose hope. Do not despair of the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mercy, the compassion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to realize, don't despair of that. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. Allah ta'ala will forgive all. Yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. It's not that ye wala maaf kar denge, ye wala chhod denge. But you have to return back to Him with that hope. Yes, Allah, only you can change me. Only you can do what I can do for myself. Allah, you open up those doors. You give me the tawfiq, right? And tawbah is also tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That opening happens, and the heart becomes mutawajjih, and that's also from Allah ta'ala. So asking Allah ta'ala for even that. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Badi khubsurat ayat. Wallahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's just like these are the sifati names of Allah ta'ala. Allah is Ghafur, Allah is Rahim. Don't worry about it. It's like, don't worry about it. Don't despair. Don't worry. I made a mistake. People will sometimes, and this happens to me as well. And it just, students, who, that I'm teaching sometimes say, oh, Professor, I made this mistake. It's like, I know that you're trying. I know you're working hard, but so don't worry about it. So it's just like, you're trying. That's all we can do. We can keep on trying. Allah ke darwaze to hamesha khule hain. That's the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The doors are always open. Okay? So, tawbah to inaba to being an awab. Okay? That is just like, in other words, also tasawwuf, you would say that, it is a journey from, as the Shaykh rahmatullah mentioned, and this is a bid'at for me that I add something onto it. It's tasawwuf to ikhlas, but you can also say from ikhlas to ihsan. Okay? So you start with the tasawwuf. If you look again, it's looking at the same thing from a different angle. Tasawwuf, khalaw, empty yourself, ikhlas, and then really fill yourself with the presence of Allah Ta'ala, which is ihsan. Okay? And from this angle, it's true tawbah. True tawbah will turn your heart towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's qalbi munib. When a heart is turned, then you become abdi munib. And when you have this complete returning and ruju ilallah, in tasawwuf they call it ruju ilallah, then it's called innahu awwab. Right? So that's a different angle of looking at the same thing. So we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The last ashra is almost upon us. Right? So we make dua to Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala gives us tawfiq for true tawbah. Whatever is stopping us from true tawbah, Allah just take that away. Make us do true tawbah. And Allah turn our hearts. And this is the dua. The history of I actually never knew this dua. That the dua that I read usually in the, one time I was sitting in Masjid Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it was, after Fajr you stay and you read Quran, and then, Ishraq is just, and then your stomach starts telling you it's time to go. Right? So I was there, and, I think I was, like the first few saf. And then when I put down the Quran and I'm leaving, there was this Shaykh, he was Arabi, he just held my hand. For a minute, I was a little shocked. What did I do? So he held my hand and he brought me Islam. Qul. Yes. Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. First time I was hearing it, some hadith you hear and some you haven't, I'm sure I've heard this before, but it wasn't, not with that presence. So, he was like, he made me repeat he made me repeat it a few times. Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Allahumma ya musarrif al-qulub, sarrif qalbi ala dinik. So, I took it as a gift from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that, मैं इतना बिगड़ा हुआ हूँ that I need to make this dua that my heart, that Allah Ta'ala changes my heart for what? Allah deening, for His deen. And that Allah Ta'ala does change my heart for His deen. And this is a beautiful dua. And they're both from Hadith Mubarak. Both of these are from a Hadith Mubarak. Sahih Hadith. So inshallah we should make that dua. And this last Ashara of Ramadan, it will pass very quickly for true tawbah, for being a true abd of Allah Ta'ala. May Allah Ta'ala make it easy for all of us. Ameen ya Rabbul Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.